For Sunday, February 8th, I'm focusing on an essay inside the New York Times Magazine. We're coming into Valentine's Day week, and I believe this essay is sort of related to that in that the author is discussing his fear of death and how that has come in contact with his hesitancy in relationships, but the whole thing is actually settled into an experience where the author is dissecting a human body, and he's trying to confront his fear of death, his fear of loss, through grounding it, embodying it into a cadaver on the dissection table. So already it's sort of an interesting topic, an interesting idea. But the craft move that I want to highlight in this essay is actually how he transitions from one paragraph to another. So when you take a look here at the opening paragraph, it's already super engaging. When I walked into the dissection room, my girlfriend was holding a human heart. Boom. Already an interesting kind of cinematic opening, right? The idea that it's a girlfriend holding the human heart is intriguing because it kind of already puts in place a physicality of something that we might actually physically feel when entering a room of someone that we're in love with, and that we might feel as though they are holding our heart. In this case, she actually is holding a human heart because she is in a dissection class with the narrator of the piece. But think about after that happens, he cuts immediately to the history of autopsies and the history of dissection of cadavers in order to learn about how they died, or just to learn in general more about the human body if you're in the medical field. So he starts with, for centuries, there was a social and religious injunction against cutting into the dead. Now, a lot of times when I work with authors on essays, it seems as though new writers are really unsure of how to move from one section to another. And I really want to highlight how there's a certain kind of confidence that can allow you to just sort of move from one section to another based on how this is an evolution of an idea. So we're set in this first paragraph here into a specific moment in time. She holds out the heart. He accepts the heart. They're in a dissection class. And then boom, immediately the next paragraph, for centuries, there was a religious and social injunction against doing this. So he is just beginning to give us some backstory on the history of autopsies and the history of doing this practice. And he doesn't need to say, I'm now going to begin talking about that. Instead, he just transitions us to that. And again, he does it again. Demand drove the passage of legislation allowing the dissection of unclaimed bodies from hospitals and morgues. So these two paragraphs, this first paragraph is about a certain scene. The next two paragraphs are about the history, and then he transitions again, just as confidently. Death terrifies me. Now this paragraph is going to be about his relationship with death from childhood and how it's always caused something for panic for him. But notice that as he moves from paragraph to paragraph, he is allowing the ideas to create the transition. He is very confident that you're just going to follow along here. Death terrifies me. Now we're talking about you. For centuries, there was an injunction against cutting into the dead. We're talking about history here. When I walked into the dissection room, we're talking about a specific moment in time. So he's really confidently just taking us from a moment to all of history to his own personal relationship without a lot of announcing what's coming next. And I think this is a masterful craft move for people to think about when they move transitions from one paragraph to another. People will follow you as long as the ideas inside the paragraphs are connected. They'll go on this journey with you from a scene to history to the self. So that's this week's CraftBox moment. Thanks for joining us.